same question goes out to yourself, Mélina, but with reference to Scotland, how many schools are actually or educational institutions are taking part in the initiatives that you're forefront of?
Yeah, so I suppose it's hard to tell because a lot of the changes happen within individual classrooms. It's less common to see these big changes happen in schools. So, I mean, for myself, for example, I work in a school where 5 years ago I said I wanted to celebrate Black History Month as a whole school initiative because it's less common in Scotland, and I was told it was too political. But so since then, I just decided to focus on what I do within my classroom, and then with the work I've been doing with the anti-racist educator, I gained more opportunities, more platforms to develop this work, and it's only after that that my school asked me to deliver anti-racist training for the teachers in the school, and also to lead on some of the anti-racist initiatives within the school. So there are probably many schools that aren't really represented, but where you have individual teachers, and it tends to be teachers of color who have that added value, that perspective that otherwise teachers need to work a bit harder to see, that we will see that change. We're also working with the anti-racist educator on a project, a collaboration with Intercultural Youth Scotland, which is a youth-led charity that works with young people of colour. And they managed to secure funding in quite a few Edinburgh schools for a whole year course, 1 period a week, focusing purely on anti-racist education for senior pupils. So that gives us a fantastic opportunity to design a whole course where we can actually empower pupils to develop their racial literacy and to become their own agents of personal change. So within their thinking, decolonizing their own minds, but also agents of social change. So that's change within their schools, within their communities and the wider world. And I think it's something that panels have already mentioned, but that's really important. It's the idea that it should also be led by young people. Young people should be given the tools to lead this change because they're growing in a world where they might see things that we don't see. So it's always a lot more powerful when this change comes from pupils. So more recently in my own school, a lot of pupils have been coming up to me for support so they could write a letter to the head teacher and the senior management about decolonizing the curriculum, about questioning the modern languages that are offered in the school. Why is there only French, Spanish, and perhaps Italian or German, but then the majority of ethnic minorities in the school speak Urdu? Why isn't their language recognized? And it's harder for leaders in schools to say no to pupils, whereas when it's just 1 or 2 teachers of color who happen to be there, and if they're not there, it doesn't always happen, there won't be that change. So I think it's been really good to hear so many different initiatives around the country and beyond, and see how we can work collectively and work collaboratively, because that's really when change happens. Brother Naya made a good point earlier on the previous panel about funding. Very often that's how they use the politicians and public bodies try to divide and conquer us as anti-racists. We really need to make sure that we work together and we perhaps create our own safe spaces that don't rely on those white institutions with all the power. So creating those alternative spaces where decolonial thought and decolonized curriculums can develop in a holistic grassroots way that's connected to the communities that work there.